I now call the Iberia Parish Council meeting to order for June 22nd, 2022. The current time now is 6 o'clock. I'll have the prayer led by Councilman Trahan, James Trahan, and the pledge led by Councilman Michael Landry. Councilman Trahan.
In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Our Father, Lord in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Amen. Councilman Landry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please initiate the roll call.
Tommy Pollard. Michael Landry.
Here.
Marcus Broussard.
Here.
Lloyd Brown. Warren Goshesang.
Here.
Natalie Broussard.
Here.
Paul Landry.
Here.
James Trahan.
Here.
Scott Rossonay.
Here.
Eugene Olivier.
Here.
Brian Napier.
Here.
Lady Fontenette Brown. Scott Saunier. Chad Montreal.
We have a quorum. Without objection, I'd like to move to special business, the swearing in of Mr. Scott Saunier to take the oath of office by our clerk, Mr. Ditch. I'm going to go ahead.
Want to do it up here? Get up here.
I'm following you, Dave.
How you doing? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's always a pleasure to be here. Even more of a pleasure that I get to leave after doing this. But I want to just congratulate you, Scott. And if you want to raise your right hand. I, Scott Saunier,
I, Scott Brown,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of this state,
and the Constitution and laws of this state,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and faithfully and impartially discharge
and perform all the duties incumbent upon me
and perform all the duties incumbent upon you. Your sentences are getting longer, Dave.
as Iberia Parish Councilman District 13,
As Iberia Parish Councilman, District 13,
according to the best of my abilities
according to the best of my ability.
and understanding.
And understanding.
So help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, members, we're going to public comments. I need a motion to go into public comments. I have a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Landry. Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition. The ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Number one, Madam Clerk.
Comments from the general public on non-agenda items.
We did not receive any. Item number two.
Comments from the general public on agenda items.
Go ahead.
Representatives of Coulter, Slayton and Company to present the financial audit report for fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021.
State your name for the record, please.
Sure. Good evening. I'm Matthew Margaglio with Coulter, Slayton and Company. I'm one of the partners in charge of the audit for the parish. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to y'all tonight. You should have received a presentation in your packet that I'm going to go over, which summarizes the big audit report this evening. So the audit report itself contains 4 key elements. 3 of those are ours, our independent auditor's report on the financials, internal control, and on federal awards. And the 4th component is the financial statements and the note disclosures, and that is that of administrations. It's their responsibility. They're the ones who are doing all the daily activities, ins and outs. They're responsible for those elements. The reports that we have, those independent auditors' reports, describe the administration's responsibilities for the financial statements, internal controls, compliance with laws and regulations, and preventing and detecting fraud. Our responsibility is to obtain an understanding of those financial statements, obtain an understanding of the internal controls, the processes, procedures, and test transactions that we feel necessary to help us express an opinion on whether the financial statements are fairly presented. So summary of the results, what we were able to do, what we came up with, and the conclusions that we have reached. In our opinion, the financial packet in front of you is fairly presented in accordance with GAAP. That's considered an unmodified opinion. That's a fair opinion, the best opinion that we can give as financial statement auditors. In addition, we looked at some federal awards that y'all received to see if you materially complied with the major programs of those federal dollars. And we noted no non-compliance with those elements, so we were able to issue a clean opinion or an unmodified opinion on that compliance element. We also looked at internal controls of the parish, and if there was anything significant or material in the internal control realm, we would report it this evening, and I'm happy to report that we have no elements to report there. We also looked at some compliance with some financial laws that come down from the Legislative Auditor's Office, and again, I'm happy to report that we have no non-compliance to report in that element. So overall, the reports from us, it's clean, fair opinion, and the good financial statements. When the users, the grantors, general public, the bond agencies read that opinion paragraph, they will feel comforted and to know that they can rely on the information that is presented in this packet. We'll get into a little bit of the financial data very quickly. Just run through some very brief numbers, high level. Total revenues for all of your governmental funds was about $33 million this year. Your total expenditures was about $32 million. That left you with an ending fund balance of all of your governmental funds of about $51 million for the end of the year. So where did some of that money come from? One of your primary sources of revenues is ad valorem taxes. Y'all took in about $10.3 million. Y'all took in another $8 million in sales tax, and you also received a little bit over about $10 million in federal and state grants. Most of that is direct pass-through where they're paying you for projects that you're doing or specific dedicated sources that the federal or state government has put in front of you. And that's where we get back to the compliance that we had no issues to report on. What did y'all overall spend that money on? About 21% of all your expenditures went towards public works. Y'all had another 17% on health and welfare, another 16% on capital outlay, so roads, bridges, things like that, drainage and whatnot. Another 16% on general government, public services, public safety was 11%, and everything else kind of made up the rest, whether it's debt service or culture and recreation, some of your other key elements. Just to focus on your general fund, and the reason why your general fund is critical is it's kind of the catch-all. Your general fund is one of the only unrestricted sources that y'all have as a parish government. It means that whatever project falls under in funding, the general fund would absorb that. If you have timing issues with getting reimbursements for whatever the case may be, your general fund absorbs all of that. So we want to focus on where you can get that flexible money from and where it's gone to. This year, your total revenue was about $5.6 million in your general fund. That's up a little bit from the last year of about $5.4 million. Your total expenditures in the general fund was about $4.8 million. Up again just a little bit, but not as much as the expenditures, so that left y'all in a pretty good position overall for the end of the fiscal year. What we look at in the general fund is cash reserves to see how many days of general fund operations you can sustain with the cash that you have in there. What we're seeing now is that over the past 5 or 6 years, you've gone from 29, 30-ish days up to currently about 192 days of cash reserves in your general fund. That's a fairly good position to be in, and it sounds like a lot, and it is. It's a nice place to be in for the government, but that's 192 days of just your general fund. So that means with no revenue coming in, your general fund can continue operating for that. But as I mentioned, it's your catch-all. It absorbs whatever shortfalls you have, whatever timing differences you have. So if a major storm comes through and you need to be able to fund some of these projects, your general fund is the one that has to be able to do that. You're going to blow through 192 days of cash very, very quickly if you're funding all of the salaries and benefits and trying to restore services to the constituents and keep the government up and running. So while we say that you have about $2.5 million in cash, and that's 192 days, and it sounds great, and it is, we have to look at where we live on the Gulf Coast. We know a storm's coming. We don't know when. We know there's going to be timing issues between federal and state government, delays in when we might collect sales tax and property taxes, especially around storm time. So that general fund balance, that general fund cash reserve is extremely critical to continue building as y'all have done over the past several years. And the last thing that I want to point out, and this kind of became more relevant in the past few years, your royalty funds. Your royalty funds are primarily designed to do road improvements, drainage, and things like that, and whatever debt service are necessary to fund all of that. Historically, 2014 and prior, y'all were receiving about $4 million in all of those royalty monies. This year, y'all received $657,000. It's a substantial drop in that revenue source, and it doesn't look like it's going to be recovering nowhere near the $4 million limit anytime soon. And with that being primarily dedicated to those roads and bridges, you then have to find other sources to provide those services and continue to upgrade the system and keep everything up and running. But overall, the parish is in a pretty good position. This is a clean financial report and leaving y'all in a good state as of the end of December 31st, 2021. Are there any questions?
Hearing none, I do want to make a statement. There's no questions, just for the members here. We did have the conversation about 90 days ago about locking money up into the general fund as in a reserve. Had the conversation amongst this council and the administration, but also doing the same thing with the royalty about the interest that we're getting, re-injecting it back in the principal. And we tried to do that a couple years back, and I think at some point, I know we're paying a debt service using that money, but at some point we have to reevaluate and look at that again. So just keep that in mind as we get closer to the budget season. It could be something that we need to work on before we start dedicating more dollars. Did you want to close,
That's all I've got this evening.
Parish President? I'm sorry.
Scott, go ahead.
I'd just like to commend the parish president and the administration for an audit with zero findings. My previous life, it's very rare to go through a audit with something of this magnitude and not have at least one finding or some kind of possible corrective action that needs to be put in place. So great job to you and the administration. And
Kim.
also kudos to that
Kim.
administration. Yeah, Mr. Broussard, Ms. Segura, Kim. As well as the ones that were here before me, because I was here for the pre-meeting, and we talked about this parish is in the best financial shape it has been in, I heard, 10 years, if I remember correctly. So that says a lot for everybody that was here prior to me. I have nothing to do with this except maybe the last year or two, but great job to everyone involved. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I just want to thank Kim for all the work that she did. And not only Kim, all of the department heads and the employees that we have in our Berea Parish government, because this is something that everyone worked hard to try to accomplish. You know, when you take a look at what he said, 2014 we were receiving $4+ million in royalty. Now we down to 600,000. When we came in here in 16, I think we had 29 days of cash on hand. Now we're at 192. But we have a long way to go. So we're always working on trying to make sure that we pay attention to our finances. And I want to tell Kim, thank you so much for telling me no so often, because it makes a difference. Thank you so much. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
You good?
Yep. Thank
Okay,
y'all very
members,
much.
Hearing no other comments, so we're going to move on to item B, Madam Clerk.
Persons being considered for appointment to parish boards and commissions to address the council.
Miss Crystal Arsenault, that is applying for the 16th Judicial District Children and Youth Planning Board. If you could state your name and address for the record, ma'am. Welcome.
My name is Crystal Arsenault. My address is 809 Darby Lane, New Iberia, Louisiana, 70560. So I just want to say good evening and thank you for the nomination for the opportunity to be a member of the Children and Youth Planning Board. A little bit about my background. I feel like I've given my whole career to children. This is my 28th year. How about now? Okay, sorry about that. So as I was saying, this is my 28th year in education. I've served as a teacher for many years, a school administrator. I'm a supervisor at the educational center. When I became a principal, I started attending all of the Children and Youth Planning Board meetings and have been doing so ever since. So we had somebody leave and I got the nomination for it. If I would be appointed for this position, I would truly continue to serve this community, loving our youth, guiding them, leading them. They're my passion and my heartbeat, And if appointed, I would continue to do that. Thanks for having me.
Members, are there any questions for Ms. Arsenault at this time? Hearing none. Thank you for willing to serve your community.
Thank you.
Also, Mr. Terry Leblanc applying for Waterworks District Number 3, the unexpired term. Mr. LeBlanc, if you can state your name and address for the record,
Yes,
please.
my name is Terry LeBlanc. I live at 5007 Forest LeBlanc Road, New Iberia, Louisiana. I am presently on the Coastal Water System Board of Directors and have been for 25 years. My term is expired and I'm coming up for a re-election in August, I think it is. I've worked with solids control in the oil field all my life, and I did some water purification and treatment and stuff also. And if y'all so decide to let me, I'd like to continue serving.
Members, are there any questions for Mr. LeBlanc at this time? Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. LeBlanc, for your service.
You're very welcome. Have a nice evening.
Also, Mr. Cayman Crappel to address to apply for Sewer District Number 1. State your name and address, sir.
Cayman Crappell, 112 Watercrest Lane in Delcom. I'm looking to get appointed to the Sewerage Board. I'm 24 years old, sugarcane farmer in District 13 area. I really think there's some good people on the Sewerage Board, good leadership. At my age, I think you can never learn too much. I'm looking at this for a long-term position, and I'd really appreciate it if I could get appointed.
Members, are there any questions? Hearing none. Thank you for willing to serve. I need a motion to go back into regular session. I have a motion by Councilwoman Broussard. Second by Councilman Montaran. Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition. The ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to reports from finance, administrative actions. There is none. Moving on to reports from parish or other governmental agencies. Number 1, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Erica Kapak, Iberia Parish Rabies and Animal Control Shelter Manager, to provide an update on the program.
Do we have something on the screen? You have a slideshow? Is it-
Yes,
Switch it.
I have the clicker, but that's it.
Ms. Erica, just for the record, for those watching at home, if you can state your name and your title, please.
Erica Leblanc, and I'm the manager at Iberia Parish Rabies Control. And while we're waiting, thank you, Parish President, for inviting me to come and do this presentation, and thank all of you for allowing me to come speak today. Okay, got it? Good? Okay. So I just wanted to kind of give y'all an update on what's going on at the shelter presently. So I just made this quick. I know y'all got a long night ahead of you. Let's see. So we've made a lot of progress in the last 6 months at Rabies Control. It's due to the support from our citizens, volunteers, participating rescues, and we expect to get further progress as we continue to move through. Without the support of our citizens and our volunteers, I don't know what we would end up doing. They have really come forward. If we have an emergency case for animals, they have always come forward. They pledge money for these animals, and they get the emergency care that they need. Otherwise, it would not happen. In our volunteers, we have a professional photographer that's coming in once a month and taking professional pictures, which is getting them out of the shelter and getting them more attention through the rescues. So the two primary changes involved restricting our animal control efforts to cats and dogs only, no wildlife. That has really helped us out to narrow it down. So when we get the animals in, we are able to adopt out to the public, release to rescue, or humanely euthanize, which we didn't have all of those options when I first came in. These are just a few of the rescues that we're working with. They're all over the country, from Louisiana to Colorado to Maine, Florida. And then the Bissell Pet Foundation has also been helping us as well. Kathy Bissell, she gave me her phone number, and we're in constant contact. She has really helped our shelter, which you'll see ahead. We're also doing after-hours events on and off-site at the shelter. Our last one was the Po' Boys and Puppies, very successful. We had families from Iberia Parish constantly going through and taking shelter tours the entire time from 11 to 1. I never stopped not bringing people through. And it takes that stigma away from the shelter and shows families, look at all these adoptable animals that we have, and this is from our community. And because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to go in there, you know, it makes me sad, this and that. Well, with all the kids coming through, all the animals got so much attention. The kids were ecstatic. And they also had a lot of fun things to do outside with the face painting, fun jumps, live music, and the Po' Boys as well. So it was really successful. I'm really glad that we were able to have such a good turnout, and we stayed busy the entire time. But we tried to do an adoption event after hours once to twice a month, because not everybody can make the hours from 7 to 3:30. I mean, people worked until 5:30 a lot of the time, but we also do these events for those people as well as after-hours appointments to accommodate. In February, we were awarded with the Healing Heartworm Grant through Kathy Bissell and the Bissell Pet Foundation. We were able to get heartworm tests, vaccines, dewormers, even combo tests for cats, flea medication. You name it, she gave it to us. We had boxes and boxes. We also participated in the Bissell Pet Foundation's Empty the Shelters event from May 1st to May 15th, and we were able to get 9 dogs out and 4 cats out during that event. We also are going to be participating in that event in July from the 18th to the 31st. We were on the front page of the Bissell newsletter for February 2022. We were the shelter spotlight, and they just talked about our facility and what we're trying to do in our community. Okay, so intakes from when I started in November until June 15th, 883. And it shows a breakdown of owner surrenders, returned adoptions. The seized is animal cruelty, and the stray population of them just wandering around is 518. So we have a lot going on. The outtakes from November 1st until June 15th, 895. These 111 from adoptions. The clinic out number 43, that's the feral cat program that we participate in. The return to owner, those were pets that were reclaimed, that's 46. And transferred out is the amount of animals that we've gotten out of the shelter through rescue only, 631 of those animals. So we're getting a lot of animals out, but we're getting them in just as fast or faster. So I wanted to take a minute and show you the intakes by jurisdiction. In New Iberia City, it's 53% of our intake calls are from the city itself. Iberia Parish, 39.75%, and then it goes down to less than 1% for Delcombe, Jeanerette, and Laurelville. That's from November 1st to June 15th. Just to give y'all an idea of where our calls are coming from. This is a breakdown. Project Rise is working on making us indoor-outdoor kennels at our facility. They do fundraisers for us, T-shirt sales, and they volunteer at all of our adoption events. And these will be being built shortly. They're waiting on more bids for the materials for the cages. Everything went up with inflation, so they're taking some more bids to be able to complete this task. Our upcoming events, we are repairing the gates in the Sallyport area in the front and back. We're building play yards for the dogs to exercise in the back of the facility. We're sealing the floors in the kennel so it's actually sanitary for the animals and no sicknesses can be passed on from one animal to the other. And we're also buying a quarantine building. The reason that a quarantine building is so important in the months in the summer, parvovirus it's everywhere. And so animals should be in a quarantined area for at least 7 to 10 days when they first come into the shelter. So if they start showing signs of any sickness, it's located in there instead of infecting my entire kennel. So that's what we're working on right now. We are having to go up with our adoption fees, $100 per dog instead of $80, and $70 instead of $50. And the reason we're having to do that is that our veterinary care costs have gone up, just like with gas and groceries, all of the vaccines, and the microchips, the heartworm tests, everything has gone up. So we had to go up on our cost as well. I did call the local shelters around us, and we were the cheapest ones. We were way, way under. And this way, we can break even instead of losing money. We are still hiring a full-time animal control officer. We haven't had any applications, but we would love to have someone. And again, thank y'all for listening to my presentation. The only other thing I wanted to add is that we are starting a food bank here in the parish. With the inflation of cost on everything, there's a lot of people that just can't afford a bag of dog food or a bag of cat food at some point in time. So we're asking our community to make these donations to the shelter for dog food, puppy food, kitten and cat food, so that when there's a person that loves their animal but is just in a hard time, that we can help them and they can keep their animal instead of bringing it to us or just letting it loose like a lot of people like to do, unfortunately. So we are starting to take in those donations at this time.
Yeah, I do have a question. Have we secured the CEA or the updated CEA with the city?
We're receiving funds, but they haven't sent the CEA back yet.
Okay, so we're waiting to get it back. Okay, that's all I have. Councilman Napier?
Just a comment, Erica, hats off to you.
Certainly.
Really.
Thank you.
You stand there in front of all of us, camera, people. If you handle yourself as well over there, and I know you do, as you do here, you've turned that place around.
Thank you.
At least from what I see, I mean, to make this presentation, to be honest with us, to show us what's going on. Look, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Because, you know, we weren't in a good place not that long
No.
ago. So, but it seems like it's getting better.
It's getting
and-
better. We just stay full all the time. And so working with rescues, they contact my phone at all times. And as long as we're getting them out, that's all that matters.
But I know you the leadership. It seems like we need it over there. So thank you.
Thank you.
For what you're doing, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman
Thank you,
Napier,
Mr.
yours
Chairman.
back. Councilman Rawson is recognized.
The intake,
Yes.
it's like 800, whatever, it's a high number. But
Yes.
Was that a surge, or is it trending up, trending down, flat?
It's actually going up. We had the worst month in the history of the shelter since it opened
Is that-
last month of
Oh.
164 animals brought into the shelter.
When you say brought in, is that owner or? is
That's all of it.
All of
That's stray calls, cruelty, and drop-offs. It's and
not what I
it's
wanted to hear. I was hoping you said it was trending down.
I'm really worried because with the economy and how much gas is and how much groceries are going up, it's going to affect the animal population. And that's why I'm trying to stay ahead of it and trying to do this food bank to where I'm hoping that at least some people will be able to keep their animals by us helping them instead of them all coming in the shelter or them just leaving them out. So that's what we're trying.
Councilman Rawson yields back. Anyone else for questions for Ms. Erica at this time? Councilman Sonia?
food bank, are y'all accepting monetary donation or are you accepting actual product?
Actual product.
Okay. And do you have a list of what, does it matter?
We have a list. If people would like to donate those, it's fine, but any product, it's fine. We made a list on Animals of IPAC, our Facebook page, and we just put all Purina products between the cat chow, dog chow, kitten chow, puppy chow type of thing to make it easy.
Councilman Sonia yields back. Councilman Ross, any another question?
Do you have like a partner? Like, did you go to certain stores and say, look, if you don't mind, can you put a page, like, receiving donations for?
PetSmart does that for me, but that's the only one at this time.
Not the local.
No.
Thank you. Councilman Ross, any yields back. Anyone else, members? Certainly.
I just want to compliment Erica on what she's doing. As you can clearly see, she's doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Just keep it up. We appreciate everything you're doing, Erica.
Thank you.
I know it's tough.
Yeah, it is.
But keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. Madam Clerk, moving on to special business number 2. I'm sorry, reports number 2.
Representative Blake Miguez to provide a legislative update from the recent sessions.
Sir, if you can state your name and your title for the record, please.
Thank you so much. For those that don't know me, my name is Blake Miguez. I'm the state representative for District 49, and I want to thank all y'all for the opportunity to speak today. Chairman Gotchasan, thanks so much for the personal invitation. I've born and raised in the village of Lowerville, and I currently live on Highway 14. My wife and I are raising 3 children together in Iberia Parish, and she is fortunate enough to serve at a school nearby in Councilman Olivier's district at Caneview as a special needs public school teacher. So we're very much involved in the community. I've come here today to give you a report of the legislative sessions that I've been in. I know since the invitation that you gave me, Warren, I've been in 2 legislative sessions, so I'd be happy to talk about any one of those sessions. I've actually served in 23 legislative sessions from being elected to office. In most of those sessions, we always talked about really difficult decisions, whether you're going to cut critical government services or whether you're going to raise taxes, because we've always had a budget shortfall. Well, most recently this year, I'm proud to report that the Louisiana financial situation has improved tremendously. We've got an additional $4.1 billion that were appropriated in the most recent session. And you ask, where did that money come from? Well, it came from hurricane recovery dollars that are coming in. It came from COVID recovery dollars. It came through FMAP savings. It came through surpluses, excesses, recognized savings, tons of different funding sources. And the legislature got together and the governor presented his executive budget. And in the past, you've known that the legislature has been in disagreement with the governor on how to spend money. But I can tell you that I'm proud to report that this year, when it came to surplus dollars, the governor and the legislature, as well as our delegation, were on the same page. We wanted to use the one-time dollars that we were seeing on one-time expenditures. And a lot of that money got invested into a lot of great places. And I've got some that I want to highlight here today. We invested another $450 million in the water sector program, which was being used on top of around the $450 to $500 million we did just in the previous session in October, which allows local government to apply for grants to improve sewage and water infrastructure. And this go round, we put a little bit of money extra in there to cover engineering costs for those rural areas. And we made it a point on the administration to make sure that the rural areas were on an equal footing to some of the large municipalities. You know, being from Iberia Parish and representing a very rural district, and for those that don't know, my district encompasses everything south of Highway 90, including the Generette area. Although I'm from the village of Lowerville, and I still love that place. I'll never forget about that one red light we have. Well, but you have those types of areas that needed the assistance. They couldn't afford the engineering costs. They don't have the big lawyers like New Orleans and that Baton Rouge Parish did. So we worked hard at the Rural Caucus to make sure that those dollars could be spent in the proper manner. As you've heard, the Unemployment Trust Fund, which had $1.2 billion previously, had been depleted to a situation where we were negative $400 million in borrowing from the federal government. The legislature suspended the rules that would put an automatic tax increase of about 30 to 40% on our local business owners, while we were finding time to bring that fund back up. We put another $500 million of the ARPA dollars in there, bringing that fund balance up to around $750 million and growing. That would basically eliminate that trigger that would put the automatic tax increase on our business owners. What do you do when you have one-time extra money? How would you run your personal household? How would you run your business when you've been in financial straits for years? You start putting money in your savings account, you start paying down debt, and you start investing in the things that you need that you've been deferring. We put $440 million towards debt payments for Hurricane Katrina. We owed billions of dollars. We started making payments towards that. We put $174 million in our rainy day savings account. Our rainy day savings account that had got depleted down to nearly nothing is up to $720 million today for the state of Louisiana. We talk about unfunded accrued liability for our retirement program. We put $70 million towards that. Now, what about the things we really care about? People have been yelling about roads, and bridges, infrastructure. We were fortunate enough to put $200 million towards I-49 improvements to Highway 90 to start working on that connector from Lafayette to New Orleans. Big improvements. That's something the folks back home wanted, something you're going to hear about soon, and I think the governor will sign the bill. We also passed this legislation, and in that, with the mega fund, that will allow us to bond these dollars out there now being taken from the vehicle sales tax out of the state general fund and put into our construction fund for roads and bridges. Well, we'll be able to bond those dollars and leverage those federal dollars so we can get more money up front, so we can start improving Highway 90 up to I-49 standards sooner than later. So we had a number of other projects that we also funded as well. As you know, in addition to serving as a District 49 state representative, I also have the responsibility of being the majority party leader at the Capitol, as well as I sit on the Appropriations Committee where all this money came through. So we had a lot of different funds that we just talked about where we spent those dollars, but I can tell you that one thing that's important on how we approach this situation is we worked as a team. Representative Boyer, Senator Mills, Representative Bryant, and Representative Huval and myself worked together. We worked very well together. Now, what are we as a state legislature and a delegation without our locals? We're nothing. We need you guys. And I can tell you, I'm so proud that all of us work together as a team. I can tell you, I got voicemails from Representative Napier, Representative Gotchesay, I think, and the Councilman Gotchesay and Councilman Broussard bent my ear at public events, as well as Councilman Pollard. And we had our parish president. I tell you, he would text me during session. He'd say, look, can you meet at such and such a time? I said, sure. When are you coming down to the Capitol? He said, I'm at the Capitol. I said, where are you at? He said, look up. I tell you what. I said, I thought you were an assassin or something. I was going to call in security to come take you out of this place. I mean, you're the only person over here, and you're watching our budget hearings. And I can tell you, it's very important that we have individuals from local government ready to react on a moment's notice. When this process goes along, we have several different opportunities in the House and the Senate to put funds in the bill. I can think of one particular instance where we're in the Senate, we're trying to figure out how to piece these funds together in the supplemental bill, and we went through, we talked to our mayors, we had put some money into Loreauville, we put some money into Jeanerette, and we had some other projects that we were putting into the supplemental bill, and they said, what can we do for Iberia Parish? What would make the most difference with the amount of funds that we had, because we had to size the project. Who did we pick up the phone? I picked up the phone and I called Larry. Senator Mills called Larry and said, what haven't we got in the past that we've been denied that really move us forward? Something economic development needs to be infrastructure, and you quickly responded, let's do La Beat Road. So we got $400,000 for La Beat Road in the supplemental bill. I thought that was a home run. I thought we were only going to get $50,000. I thought we only got $50,000 for Loreauville. We got $175,000 for Loreauville. We got $400,000 for La Beat Road. We got $500,000 for road improvements in Jeanerette. Now, Representative Boyer and Representative Bryan have the opportunity to serve on the Ways and Means Committee. That's where we do all of our capital outlay projects. You guys are in a great spot in Iberia Parish with your delegation. You got a member of the Appropriations Committee, and you also have 2 members on the Ways and Means Committee, as well as the senior members on both the House and the Senate. Most of them come from the Acadiana area. So it's our opportunity to really leverage our representation there and do what we can. And I can tell you, it's been a historic session. Many of you might have seen some of the announcements that I put out in the paper. But again, one of our largest funding projects, and we've been funding this project at a tone of $5 to $10 million since I've been elected. $25 million this year was the Port of Iberia Dredging AgMac project. With the crime lab, this is something we've been talking about for years. Our district attorney's been talking about we need a crime lab. We're one hurricane away from our justice system just going away. We put $3 million towards of cash money towards our crime lab to build it at the base. We wanted to build it at the base. We didn't want it moved. We had the property there. We wanted to act, and we acted quickly. Another $1.2 million towards the northern taxiway runway at the airport. Our evacuation center is something that I know our parish president has been a dream of his, a multi-use center there. $1 million to start that project with a following $8 million in P5. We talked about road improvements in both Jeanerette as well as the city of Loreauville putting sidewalks to our new elementary school there. Acadiana Regional Airport, we did some fixing up of the hangar there to improve one of the local businesses that's producing economic development. What about our minority community? What about our parks? We did some tremendous work there. Little Brooklyn, Ann Street, Sear Gate sprinkler system, as well as the West End community, over $1 million improving all those local parks. And I spoke to the mayor of the city of New Iberia, and I said, what's next? What's your plan? He's got an aggressive plan towards, in the future, if we have these same opportunities, developing the Pepperplex, so we can compete and be on the same equal footing as Broussard and Youngsville and some of these other parishes, some of these other communities, excuse me. The Iberia Parish Jail and the Sheriff's Office, $500,000 towards equipment and improving the jail. A research facility out there at UL, that's a regional project, $14 million, as well as the vaccine accelerator project. Y'all have heard about that with Pfizer, another $2 million there. A total of $50 million of cash this year with an additional $89 million of trailing funds, and that's not including the $200 million that we had towards I-49 improvements. We're talking about $250 million for this year and next year, and we're going to work on getting more. That's a major infrastructure investment into our local community in Iberia Parish. Now, I talked about spending all these funds. I supported the supplemental bill. I supported the funds bill, the excess, and spending all these one-time expenditures. But I will caution you that it's not all rosy. The Louisiana State Budget Outlook shows us with a $650 million shortfall in our general fund in 3 years. And a lot has to do with the fact this is one-time revenue. Although technically a lot of this is called reoccurring revenue because it may happen again next year. We know that Louisiana has always struggled with our economy of being ranked last in the nation. And we have to be very coherent of that and plan for the future. We won't always have these funds coming in. So I've been very diligent on speaking in opposition to growing our general fund. We've grown it some this year to do some of the things that we wanted to do. But we're looking at if the budget that gets applied this year, if everything stays the same, we'll be $650 million short because the 0.45 temporary sales tax that was put in place about 5 to 7 years ago falls off the books. We have the vehicle sales tax dollars that I talked about earlier, which we're bonding, which we moved out of the general fund and we moved into improving roads. So if our economy goes down any further, we could be looking at a $1 billion shortfall. Now, keep in mind, we will be re-electing a new governor in 2023. So he'll be starting in 2024. Whoever that governor may be handed with a $1 billion shortfall. The last governor, this current governor, got handed with that situation. There was a lot of fighting in Baton Rouge, a lot of tough times. I don't want to see the new governor being handed that, and I don't want to see the legislature having to make the same tough decisions that I had to make between cutting government services and raising taxes. So I've rang the bell in Baton Rouge, and I think we'll have a plan coming out next go-around to use the next 2 to 3 years to start winding off some of this money that's going to fall off the books and be fiscally responsible. But I encourage you to look at your own budgets and do the same, because this one-time money, you want to invest it in one-time expenditures, and the folks are screaming and yelling about infrastructure. They want their sewage fixed, they want their drainage fixed, they want their roads fixed, and we incumbent upon us as elected leaders to do that. But we've got to watch how fast we grow government, because that money may not be there once the music stops playing and all this post-pandemic money is going through our economy. That's the fiscal side of things. On the social side of things, we had some large bills that passed through the process. Louisiana passed one of the most aggressive pro-life bills in the legislature that put automatic trigger laws in place for in the event that Roe versus Wade gets turned over, and it's possible that we may hear about that later this week, but it's from the Supreme Court. We also had a bill that finally the governor allowed to become a law, which is the Women's Fairness in Sports Bills, which allows women to play on a fair playing field, to give them the career opportunities, the scholarship opportunities in the future. That's something the governor had vetoed in the past, but he had a change in heart and allowed it to become law. On the Second Amendment side of things, we were able to pass constitutional carry for our active and our military veterans. They won't have to go through all the different training. They've been trained, they've went to war, they've served our country. Now we're going to allow them the ability to defend themselves and their loved ones without government permission. One of the biggest issues that faced our nation recently, and what's in the hearts of all of our mothers and grandfathers and our fathers out there and grandfathers, is our schools and safety in our schools. There's a debate, and you can talk about pro-gun, anti-gun, and whatever you may be, but there's some common ground in the middle. And that's, how do we protect our schools? And I was happy to, my seatmate in the legislature, I'm very excited I got a new seatmate. Her name is Vanessa LaFleur. She's a newly elected, she's a member of the Black Caucus. She's from Baton Rouge, East Baton Rouge Parish. She's a registered Democrat. We've got nothing in common politically, but we get along very well, and we learn how to talk to each other, and we have conversations, and we listen. And we got together and we co-authored the bill. We didn't talk about pro-gun, anti-gun, or any of these types of wedge issues that's dividing our country. We talked about how do we make our schools safe. We offered a resolution directing Bessie to report all of their security plans for every school in all the 64 parishes. We want to know about school resource officers. We want to know about their security plans. We want to know where type of funding needs that may be needed to improve not only just our high schools, but our elementary schools as well. I know there's some talk on the federal level. There may be an opportunity to improve our schools. Look, I've also talked to our local sheriff, and we had a great conversation because he's getting a lot of calls from a lot of concerned parents. I said, look, if your officers are not out there on a call, I'd love to see your sheriff deputy cars in front of one of our churches or in front of one of our elementary or high schools, because it deters really bad actors from coming in. And it works, guys. Anytime there's a school resource officer, it mitigates the loss of life and the loss of our loved ones. So that's some common ground that we can work on. I hope to get that report back in September, and I hope that the federal government will take action and give us some funding where we can incentivize to protect all of our elementary schools. But with that, I'm happy to address the council here today. We've had some redistricting issues, just like you guys have. We're going through that through the court systems. Our current redistricting map, the congressional map, is currently in the lower court in the middle district, and it's been overturned. It's got a hearing set. There'll be a new map put in by the lower court judge, this week. She'll pick a map, and then they'll have a hearing in the Fifth Circuit to whether to overturn or to keep that map in place the week of July 4th. There's some talk that the Supreme Court, our circuit court justice was Justice Alito, may interject and put a stay on the case. But this is going to make a large determination about our congressional elections. Our qualifying is in July. And we may be qualifying under the current maps that have been passed by the legislature and overridden the governor's veto, or those particular congressmen and congress ladies may be running under entirely different maps. I can tell you that the legislature has done its job. It's fulfilled its duty. Now it's up for the courts to make a decision, and maybe up to the highest courts, and give us direction as Louisiana and our Secretary of State of how they want those elections run. And that's where we are now. We actually just finished session on Saturday. We got out just before Father's Day. So, again, happy to serve. It's an honor to serve all you all. I want y'all to know that my office is always open for any of y'all. Look, most of y'all have my cell phone. If you don't, please reach out to me before I leave here today. I want to give you my cell phone number. Please reach out. Let me know when issues are coming up. And one thing that I'll recommend, let's get a game plan in place for next session. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that our situation is very similar next year, and we got one more good year of funds. And where can we make the largest improvements to Iberia Parish, and where can we spend those funds? And I want you to think about your districts. I want you to think, Mr. Parish President wants you to think about our entire parish, and also a message to our mayors. What can we do if we get another shot of money? Because we really want to make a large improvement and a large investment in our area. But with that, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that the councilman may have.
Members, are there any questions for Representative Miguez? We do have one from Councilman Olivier.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for meeting with us each time we go to Baton Rouge. You know, I made several trips there, Larry and I, and you was always available to talk to us and discuss some of the concerns we had in the parish. And thank you for that service.
Eugene, I appreciate you coming up. I tell you, we got caught in session from February to just last Saturday, and a lot of time away from our families. And the only thing I can think about when I get off on the weekend is just going to hug my little girl and spending time with my family. But we don't get an opportunity to get out into our districts as much during the week like we are now when we're back home. So it's great to see familiar faces from back home. It's great to see you guys advocating. It's great to break bread. I know you got a chance to experience the rural caucus. You get to see how we operate up there. We're not Washington, D.C. Yeah, we have party labels, and yeah, we have things we believe in. But at the end of the day, Louisiana comes first. And I can tell you, for our local delegation, our representatives and our senators, Iberia Parish comes before all. And I know that y'all believe the same. And we're all one team. And I will continue looking forward to work with you to improve our community and our parish for the betterment of our future. Thank y'all so much.
Councilman Olivier yields back. Anyone else, members? Hearing none. Representative, I'm sorry, Parish President.
Thank you for everything that you do. It's a lot of work, and I appreciate the spirit all of you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the relationship that we have, and continue. Look, it's Larry, when I said 24/7, it's 24/7. Sunday, just don't call me when I'm in church, but right after 10 o'clock, give me a call. I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Moving on to Public Works reports. Number 1, Madam Clerk.
Public Works Department report for closed work orders dated May 25th through June 7th, 2022 were emailed to the council members.
Back to special business. Number 2, Madam Clerk.
Executive session pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 4217A10 regarding the Peoples Coulee Canal water control structure, all as requested by the parish president.
Do I have a motion to go into executive session? I have a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Landry. Councilman Brown on discussion? Councilman Landry? Anyone? Councilman Napier on discussion?
So, I just want to make a comment. You know, I definitely want to hear what the parish president has to say about Peoples Coulee. From my recollection, since I've been sitting here, is that executive session is for, you know, if we have anything going on as far as being sued or anything like that. We had an incident here with Peoples Coulee when Mr. Romero came, and Larry and I talked about it with some of the councilmen here in his office, and I had requested that, you know, come talk to us about what happened, what went wrong, where we can go from here, you know, because there were some things said by Mr. Romero that, you know, we got to go back out for, you know, the job is we passed the timeline and we have to rebid the project. So I said, you know, just so that we know and the public knows, come tell us, you know, what's happening. So I see we have it here in executive session. Now, if it's about, you know, a lawsuit or something like that, I'm all in for, you know, there's some things that we need to do behind closed doors. I don't know what we're saying. All I'm saying is, if it's something, just an update on the progress of the project, it should be in an open forum where the public can know what's going on with their tax money. Now, if I'm off the wall with this, please let me know. I mean, I will sit here doing executive session, but I have a problem with that, as I'm sure the public would too. So, with that said, Mr. Chairman, that's my, I have a problem going in.
Councilman Napier yields back. Anyone else, members on discussion, going into executive session? Hearing none, roll call members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? I have one opposition by Councilman Napier. That motion carries. At this time, if I can ask the public to please step out. We are now going to go into executive session. I now call the Iberia Parish Council meeting back to regular order. I'll need a motion to go back into regular session. Have a motion by Councilman Mike Landry, second by Councilman Brown. Any discussion, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. We're now into public session.
I just want the record to reflect that we had a lengthy discussion regarding several legal issues regarding the Peoples Canal water structure, and no action was taken.
That will be inputted into the record. Going to council member announcements. Anyone? Been a late night already. That's what I'm talking about. Parish president announcements.
Yeah.
Parish President Richard?
Yes, very brief, Mr. Chairman. We have a water advisory going on right now, water advisory going on right now. Cotos, hopefully we get information back and that to be released soon. Still waiting on a CDA from the city in reference to the teen court building.
Larry.
Building right there.
Larry, can you unmute
Put your
put your microphone on? You turn
Want me to
it
start
on.
over again? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Start over?
No, we heard you.
Okay. Y'all ready to get out of here, huh?
Come on, gentlemen.
Okay, let's see something here. Okay, the administration met with FEMA earlier this week, and we're talking about mitigation in reference to pre-storm and post-storm. We have a representative from different agencies and municipalities met yesterday with FEMA, trying to find out information as far as what they can do as far as mitigation. On tomorrow, we're also going to have some additional agencies coming by and municipalities coming by to talk with FEMA about individual assistant, public assistant, and things of that nature due to an emergency in Iberia Parish. One other thing I want to pass on is the recycling container at Ward 8 in Generator has been moved to the new Public Works building. They were having big problems with that. In reference to that, I have spoke to someone today. We will try to find another place in Generator to put a recycling bin, but as of now, that bin has been removed and brought to Public Works, and it's going to stay at Public Works, but we may add another recycling bin. Mr. Chairman, look, I'm going to stop. We had a long meeting so far.
Just let the record reflect that Councilman Broussard and Saunier is back at their seat. Councilman Napier on Parish President question.
An update, if you can, please, on my property on Louise Street that we were going to demolish.
Yeah, actually, we should be hoping to move forward that in July.
It might be torn down in July.
I don't know about torn down, but you got to keep in mind.
Y'all
Go ahead.
having some problems legally?
No, you're not having.
The process of notifying and having a hearing
Gee,
before y'all
yeah.
will take more than a
It's-
Do you have any idea? I've been getting.
We're gonna have it at the July Parish Council. We're hoping,
Right.
it will be before y'all at the July.
At the July meeting, we'll talk about it at that
We have
time.
several houses gonna be there.
I'm kind of glad he asked that. What about the rest of those units that we've talked about in the various districts?
We have several of them that we're going to be bringing up to you, including the property right next door, across the tracks, and the building across here. So we have several of them that we'll be talking to you about. We haven't gotten anything back yet in reference to your piece of property. I think I talked to you about that, Scott, last week, but I'm going to give you an update in July on everything that's going on with the properties.
Why was the moved from Ward 8 to, is there a reason
Yeah.
why it was moved?
Yeah, people were they were just throwing
like
all kind of trash in the
Oh, no,
recycling
okay.
bin.
I got you.
And,
That makes sense.
in fact, I spoke to a guy today that used to bring his recyclables there and come to find out that, might have been, anyway,
No,
let's leave that
Got
alone.
Yeah, I got it. I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Councilman Napier, you finished?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Napier, yields back. Anyone else?
But I want to mention one more thing. We actually putting cameras at all of the, trying to put cameras at all of the sites where we have recycle bins now.
I agree.
So, okay.
People just don't know how to act.
Hearing no other questions for the parish president, moving on to consent agenda items.
Marcus Simpson.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr.
Question, yeah,
Broussard.
the sheet with you said they had some homes that were already put on the list. Is there a sheet or a?
Yeah, there is an approved sheet that has been.
Because
sent
I
to the
wasn't
administration.
around.
You wasn't
for it.
around at that time, but
Is there
you'll
a
get
list
it in
you can share
January.
with me so I
You can get
see?
it tomorrow if you want. Just come by the office.
We gave you a spot to walk.
Yeah, much appreciation, Mr. Broussard.
If you
You owe
want
me,
it,
babe, you owe me.
Marcus, seriously,
Sir?
if you want to know what the property is, just come by or give us a call. We'll send them to you. You have any properties in your district?
Hearing no other questions
Just
for
a
the
couple
parish president, moving on
potentials.
to consent agenda items for public hearing and adoption. Madam Clerk?
Minutes, regular meeting of June 8th, 2022, special meeting of June 14th, 2022. Summary number 102, a resolution authorizing the designation of the Daily Iberian as the official journal for Iberia Parish for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. Summary number 103, introduced by Recreation and Playground Commission, a resolution declaring the month of July 2020 as Parks and Recreation Month in Iberia Parish.
Hold on, we got one more. Oh, okay.
This ordinance.
Yeah, I have a motion by Councilman Landry to accept the consent agenda. Second by Councilman Landry. Councilman Landry waves. Councilman Landry waves. Any discussion on the main motions, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 5199, introduced by the Regional Planning Commission. Madam Clerk?
An ordinance approving the reclassification request for the property of Pace Landfill LLC located at 6505 Coto Road, the particular parcel being rezoned from A1 agricultural to I1 industrial, located in District 14, subject to compliance with Planning Commission Staff Report ZC 2022-0002, all is reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional Planning
Do we have a
Commission.
motion? Have a motion by Councilman Mathurin, second by Councilman Rawson. Councilman Mathurin?
Somewhere's over there.
Mr. Weaver?
Pretty much the extension that I spoke to you about, it, nothing's changed with that?
Before you do
If
that.
you want to elaborate.
Councilman Mathurin, you finished?
Yeah, let him
Okay.
elaborate.
Councilman Rawson? Go ahead, sir. Yeah, why's he keep doing that?
The bottom.
Got it. Jacob Weaver, Iberia Parish Permitting. Pace Landfill been in operation at 6505 Coteau Road. They were renewing their DEQ permit and decided to have an expansion project kind of at the same time before they renewed to include the extra 30 acres. It's a project I actually think is very vital to our area, especially with hurricane debris and cleanup, stuff like that. He seems to have everything, zipped up tight over there. So I don't hear any complaints about the landfill. Everything went through unanimous vote with us. So.
Members, are there any questions for Mr. Weaver on this? Hearing none, any discussion on the main motion? Hearing none, roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to resolutions introduced for public hearing and adoption. Summary number 104, introduced by the parish president. Madam Clerk.
A resolution accepting the audit report for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021, as prepared by Coder Slavin and Company, and further acknowledging the submissions of said audit to the Louisiana Legislative Auditor and the Federal Audit Clearinghouse.
Do I have a motion? Have a motion by Councilman Brown.
Second.
Second by Councilman Olivier. Councilman Brown on discussion. Councilman Olivier.
Wait.
Main motion discussion, members, anyone? Hearing none, roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary 105, introduced by the clerk of the council. Madam Clerk.
A resolution appointing one member of the Iberia Parish Council to serve on the Acadiana Criminalistics Laboratory Commission for the remainder of a 2-year term, ending on December 31st, 2023. Applications of interest from A, Ms. Natalie Broussard, B, Mr. Paul Landry, and C, Mr. James Trumbull.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Paul Landry, second by Councilwoman Broussard. Councilman Landry?
Yeah, I'm pulling my name out. I was just offering in case nobody else wanted it, so just go ahead and scratch me.
Councilman Landry pulls his name. Councilwoman Broussard on discussion?
Yeah, I'll pull my name as well. Mr. Trumbull wants it, he gets it.
Councilwoman Broussard pulls a name and yields back. Any other main motion discussion, members? Leaving one man, we will just vote as is. Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Trumbull. Summary number 106, introduced by the clerk of the council. Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the execution of a contract with the Daily Iberian for the publication of classified advertisements for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, at a cost of $10 per column inch.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Paul Landry, second by Councilman Michael Landry. Councilman Landry. Councilman Landry. Any main motion discussion, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 107, introduced by the Fire Protection District Number 1, Madam Clerk.
A resolution amending the 2022 Fire Protection District Number 1 fund budget in the amount of $20,644 to recognize insurance proceeds received in appropriate expenditures for fire truck repairs to unit assigned to Louisville.
I have a motion by Councilman Rawsonay, second by Councilman Napier. Councilman Rawsonay.
I know a few people asked, it wasn't an accident without going into details, so that's what the insurance proceeds are about.
Thank you for that clarification. Councilman Napier?
It was.
I like what he said.
All right, we'll duly note that. Anyone else on the main motion discussion, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 108, introduced by Laurie Brown of District 4. Madam Clerk.
A resolution amending the 2022 general fund budget in the amount of $1,485 to appropriate funding for the purchase of a Meridia Interactive Solutions voting system, all to be funded from fund balance previous years.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Brown.
Second.
Second by Councilman Landry, Paul Landry. Councilman Brown on discussion. Councilman Landry on discussion.
Yes, sir, I'm not waving. We fight about little things here and there, about travel and all like that. I just don't, we got a system here in place, and I would just prefer to go with that. We all move to the table. That's just my opinion. So I'm going to be a no.
Thank you for that, Councilman Landry. Just before I take up another discussion, I do think the clerk wants to make a point of order.
Right, just so everybody is on the understanding, the agenda will run from the system we're using tonight, which is our voting system. This program would have to be run on a separate, like on our laptop. So every time you would vote, like say we go to vote on this item, I'll have to switch screens. It'll have to change over to the computer. You'll vote on that screen, and then I'll have to change it back to the agenda. So just so y'all understanding that it's not gonna, it may be a little bit lapse in time to get back and forth between the screens. And they do not work together at all. They can't be integrated. I've spoken with our IT personnel, and he does not recommending we use something that doesn't integrate with our system, and I would support that also. I don't think, I mean, I know it was presented as a makeshift thing, but something that's not gonna work with our system, I don't feel it's useful.
Thank you. Councilman Napier on discussion?
So forgive me, but I wasn't here at the meeting when this, obviously it came out of committee.
It came out of committee with an amendment, which you see tonight. This is a
So-
substitute motion.
What are we doing?
So the original proposal was to add two buttons that would have cost us, correct me, maybe close to 5,000.
But I'm saying why?
But we
You understand?
have, we have two council members that is not comfortable enough coming back to the table just yet. Well, I mean, I didn't wanna,
So, no, well, I mean, we need to, I'm sorry, but I wasn't here, so before I can vote, I need to know what's.
understand.
So Mr. Brown and Ms. Brown doesn't wanna come here, so we're gonna put one of these there?
That is correct.
Where
Well,
Larry's gonna
that's
sit?
not this proposition right here. This proposition is actually to buy 15 keypads that is wireless. Help me, James, I mean, this is a lot of research you, yeah, it was in your pack.
But it won't work with our system.
It's not integrated.
And the warranty is for 12 months.
So it don't sound like that.
That's a right away.
So, but if we get everybody back to the table, we don't have to have that?
Zero.
Is that a question or a statement?
No, I'm asking a question.
okay.
You know, I mean, we good with what we have, right? We just trying to get Mr. Brown and Ms. Brown a place to vote. We're not even using the ones we got.
Good
I'm
point.
confused here.
It's so that we can start using.
Oh, so we can, okay, all right.
But what Brenda explained was that system does not speak to this
Correct.
system. So
Right.
you need another system, and when we vote, there's gonna be a delay, because she's gonna
Yeah.
have a lot of work to do to get it into the.
So,
I might change my
I
mind.
guess we stay like well, I'm with Paul, I'm just saying, because to me, it sounds like a problem. I mean, if somebody has something that can help me convince that, you know, it just don't sound right. I mean, we were here for the longest time, but with two more people, can't we do that? That's me, I'm with you, Paul.
Councilman Napier, you finished?
I think so.
Councilman Napier, yours back. Anyone else in discussion? Councilman Broussard.
If we want to respect their wishes, but the point of what Mr. James is trying to do is to get the efficiency back where it needs to be, but it's not going to talk to the system, then we're back to inefficiency again. So to me, we're at the point where even though it's not a lot of money, it's still money. We either just respect their wishes and stay like we are, or whatever the alternative would be. So I don't, for that reason, I'm not going to.
So let me just make this for the record, because I know it's stated around the public that I can force a member to come to the table. Andy, help me for the record or for the public. Can I force Mr. Brown or Ms. Brown to come to this table? Do I have any powers as a chairman to do that? I just want that to be stated for the record that,
I don't believe you do, but you know, but I will say this, the council does have the right to set its own rules and regulations for the conduct of its businesses. Just like you have the right, Mr. Chairman, to manipulate the agenda, to move things around.
Yeah, certainly.
For the convenience of the general public.
and I try to do that as a whole. If we're gonna make a decision, I don't,
I got it. I'm sorry.
is it a question for legal or?
Yeah. So,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
go ahead and answer while we're there, and I seen you raise your hand. I'll go to you, Ms. Broussard, after.
But what you said, so if he had, if you want, could he say, if you want to vote, you gotta sit where the voting machine is? Could you do that?
I would say that is a council decision, not a chairman decision.
So it's gotta be voted on, majority of the
Because
council.
you have the right to set your rules for how you conduct your business.
Yeah, if we say you gotta sit by there for your vote to count in the majority rules on that, that's
Well,
how
I
it
don't know, I don't know that you can say that you can do, in order for your
Well,
vote
no,
to count.
I'm just
No,
asking, yeah.
I can tell you this. I can go right now and I can't find you a case or anything else that's gonna be right on point. This is just, as general, you have the right to set your rules
Set
and
your rules.
regulations.
The
for how you
council does, not the chairman. I got you, okay.
Councilman Napier, does that
Thank you,
clarify
Mr.
for you?
Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Shealy.
Councilwoman Russo in discussion?
Didn't we pass a resolution already for the blind voting?
Blind voting we did, yeah.
I think we already have that rule, and I mean, we're violating our own rule now with the way we're voting. I think we've already established how we're supposed to vote.
There is a resolution or ordinance about voting, but I don't remember exactly what it says. But it did say that, I do know it said you don't put it on the screen until everybody's voted, so if that's what you refer to when you say blind voting, that would be correct.
I would request that you send us a copy of that ordinance, and it would be up to the chairman to enforce that ordinance or that resolution that we passed, to conduct the meetings in accordance to how we've already passed it.
Put a lot of pressure on the chairman, don't they?
I don't know
That's what
that
you
it's
were
up
elected to
I don't
do,
know that
Mr.
it's up
Chair.
to the chairman to enforce, it would be up to the council to enforce. The reason I brought up the chairman is simply because I believe the chairman has the right with respect to agenda items, not how you vote or how you want to conduct your business. You know, there's a difference there. You know, again, I think he can move things around on the agenda, but it takes the council to say, this is our rule for how we're going to conduct our business.
And certainly, if I make a decision, the members can certainly challenge the decision of the chair. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the power perspective of it. Councilwoman, refinish?
I'm done.
So you got that request to send to Councilman Olivia?
On the new equipment, would it be possible, Brenda, if we added 2 more monitors, one here, just for the voting, and not actually tie the 2 in together?
Yeah.
In other words, put 2 more screens, one here, so this area can see, and one screen here, so that area can see, just the voting, just the voting part.
I think you'd still have to operate the voting system through the computer.
But through a separate laptop, just for
Right.
the voting. That's eliminated you having to go back and forth with this system here.
No, because somebody would still have to run that system that we put in the TV up to show the votes.
Right, yeah, but you have a separate laptop right there just for the voting.
Yes.
Because all that's, all that's gonna be wireless. You don't,
And that I'd have to check with IT because I'm not sure how that would work to do the 2 separates running at the same time. Because you
but
see,
even if you have to switch it right now from one system to the other, our system will not record the votes. You have to depend on the
Correct.
other system to record the vote.
Correct.
So I'm thinking use a entirely different system just for the voting. If we can get a cost on two extra monitors and what it would take to add that cost to this expense for this wireless system. That's one of my recommendation, if we want to go to that wireless voting system.
Okay.
I'm done.
Councilman Olivier yields back. Councilman Saunier is recognized.
Yeah, I don't understand what the issue is with us saying aye and nay, and you need to poll a group to find out if you need to, if it's close, to spend $1,500 that's going to prolong this meeting more than it already is for a temporary issue, because eventually we're all going to be sitting back here. We've spent more than $1,500 just talking about this already, so I will not support this.
Thank you, Councilman Saunier. Councilman Rawson, Councilman Landry?
Yeah, I can give one suggestion. In St. Martinville, they had an individual that didn't want to sit with all the others. So an individual would vote his machine, he'd look at the individual, they give a thumb up, a thumb down, and he would press it. I would be happy to vote for Mr. Lloyd.
I'm gonna turn to legal on that. Can we,
This is not my call.
myself. I don't
I
need
understand.
nobody to do that for me.
Andy, should I even punt this to you, Andy? Okay. Thank you, Councilman Landry. Appreciate that. Anyone else on discussion on the main motion, members? Okay, I've got a table by Councilman, a requested table by Councilman Olivier. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Brown. Any discussion on the table, members?
I'm against the table.
You're not stipulating on the date. You're just gonna table until we
Till
get
the
more
next
information.
meeting.
Okay. To the next meeting, I'm sorry. Councilman Olivier's request is to table to the next meeting. I had a second by Councilman Brown. Here. Okay, Councilman Brown,
He said he removes the second.
removes the second. Do I have a second on the table for Councilman Olivier? Hearing none, that request dies. Back to the main motion, members. Anyone else? Hearing none. Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed?
I mean, nay. Thank you, Chad.
Okay.
Thank you.
That motion passes unanimously. Proud of y'all. I'm sorry, that motion fails unanimously. Whoo, man. Tell you what, Chairman, that's a big word around here. Summary number 109, introduced by the Sewer District Number 1. Madam Clerk?
A resolution amending the 2022 Sewer District Number 1 fund budget in the amount of $117,500 to establish joint project funding for EPW tank replacement located at Plant 3, all to be funded with a line item transfer for Sewer District's portion, $117,500, and to recognize contributions from the City of New Iberia for $117,500.
Have a motion by Councilman Paul Landry.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Broussard. Councilman Landry in discussion. Councilwoman Broussard. Any main motion discussion, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 110, introduced by our Regional Planning Commission.
A resolution granting preliminary plat approval to a subdivision of property belonging to Kelly Landry located on Lake Dotrieve Road to create 3 lots located in District 9, subject to compliance with Planning Commission Staff Report PC 2022-0004, all as recommended and, all as reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission.
I had a motion by Councilman Rawsonay, second by Councilman Napier. Councilman Rawsonay.
No, wait a minute.
Speculation?
I waived that.
Oh,
Speculation.
speculation, yes.
Councilman Waves, Councilman Napier in discussion.
I'm gonna waive with him.
Councilman Napier waves,
Yeah.
members,
Yeah, I did.
Madam Clerk, if you can strike that,
strike
that
that
line that Mr. Rawsonay said, we'd all appreciate that. Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition. The ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Summary number 111, introduced by our Regional Planning Commission. Madam Clerk.
A resolution granting preliminary plat approval to a subdivision of property belonging to Michael A. Richard Sr., located on Rip Van Winkle Road, to create 2 lots located in District 13, subject to compliance with Planning Commission Staff Report PC 2022-006, all as reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Saunier, second by Councilman Landry. Councilman Saunier, you want to tell us how great District 13 is? Councilman Saunier yields back. Councilman Landry on discussion? Councilman Landry waves. Members, any main motion discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition. The ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 112, introduced by Regional Planning Commission. Madam Clerk.
A resolution granting preliminary plat approval to a subdivision of property belonging to Deborah D. Shackelford, John Delcom, located on Van Brocklin and Daspit Roads, to create 2 lots located in District 9, subject to compliance with Planning Commission Staff Report PC 2022-0007, all as reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission.
I have a motion by Councilman Rawsonay, second by Councilman Landry. Councilman Rawsonay? Councilman Landry? Members, any main motion discussion? Hearing none, roll call members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 113, introduced by the Regional Planning Commission. Madam Clerk.
A resolution granting preliminary plat approval to a re-subdivision of property belonging to Deborah D. Shackelford, John Delcom, located on Daspit Road, to create 2 lots located in District 9, subject to compliance with Planning Commission Staff Report PC 2022-0008, all as reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission.
I have a motion by Councilman Rawsonay, second by Councilman Napier. Councilman Rawsonay. Councilman Napier. Members, any main motion on this, any discussion on the main motion? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 114, introduced by our Regional Planning Commission.
A resolution granting preliminary plat approval to a subdivision of property belonging to Phyllis Patton, located on Poufette Road, to create 3 lots located in District 13, subject to compliance with Planning Commission Staff Report PC 2022-0009, all as reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Olivier, second by Councilman Trahan. Councilman Olivier? Councilman Trahan. Members, any main motion discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Man, I know it not. Everybody said aye on this. Let me try this again. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 115, introduced by the Parish President. Madam Clerk.
A resolution amending the 2022 parish-wide drainage fund budget in the amount of $139,286 to remove capital lease proceeds to purchase outright 2 tractors with related implements procured in fiscal year 2021, which is now available for delivery instead of financing said purchase. Note, motion to suspend the rules will be needed as this item was not considered by the Finance Committee.
I need a motion to suspend the rules. I have that by Councilman Matran. Second by Councilman Landry. Any discussion on suspending the rules? Hearing none, roll call members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it. The motion carries unanimously. We are now suspended the rules. I need a motion on the main motion. I have a motion by Councilman Matran, second by Councilman Trahan. Any, Councilman Matran?
Wait a minute.
That request will be taken. Second, Trahan? Man, I tell you what, it's been a long night to begin with already. Hearing no other discussion, roll call members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing no opposition, that motion carries unanimously. Before we take an adjournment, we do want to remind the public our next meeting will be July 13th. I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Landry to adjourn, and a second by Councilwoman Broussard. Roll call members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. We're now adjourned.